EP Magazine's annual healthcare issue contains a wide selection of articles for parents, caretakers, professionals who care for children and youth with special healthcare needs, including families who have multiple children with disabilities. Further topics include early intervention, oral care, medical bills, and physical fitness, concerns faced by most families, but especially challenging to those with special needs. Read it today at www.epmagazine.com.
Oscar Mike Radio is a proud podcast partner of REITs Across America Radio, heard every Thursday at 11 a.m. and Sunday at 8 a.m. Eastern. They're also big supporters of the nonprofit I Got Your Six, Two Lives at Once. And with every REIT you sponsor through Oscar Mike Radio, $5 goes back to this great organization dedicated to making a difference in the lives of veterans, law enforcement, firefighters, and first responders battling PTSD. Two Lives at Once pairs these brave men and women together with dogs rescued from kill shelters. In this way, two lives are saved at the same time by saving each other. Donate now. Go to REITsAcrossAmerica.org/Oscar Mike Radio to help. That's REITsAcrossAmerica.org/Oscar Mike Radio.
Suicide is preventable, and each of us has a role to play in suicide prevention.
Suicide is complex. There is no single cause.
And it's not always a mental health issue. It could be loss of a job or home, financial or relationship issues, pain, or leaving the military.
Suicide does not discriminate. It affects all ages, races, and genders, veterans or not.
If you know a veteran who is struggling, connect with them. Let them know help is available.
There is quick and easy access to services in times of crisis.
Dial 988, then press 1. Talking about it is okay.
Don't keep it inside. Don't be ashamed. Don't wait. Reach out.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Hello and welcome again to Oscar Mike Radio. My name is Travis. I'm your host. Oscar Mike Radio is part of the Hubazoo Network. You can find out more on hubazoo.com. I want to thank my sponsors, Choice ASEC of ASEC Real Estate, Army National Guard veteran Mark Holmes of Reapers Detailing and Power Washing, and my veteran-owned business supporters, Bone Frog Warrior, Caisson Shaving Company, Black Cat Designs, and Savage American Woodwork. We're into 2024. We're off to a fast start, and I had the pleasure of, being reached out to about interviewing my next guest, who is an accomplished businessman, author, and has a lot of life experience that I feel is appropriate for veterans, what we're going to talk about. Without any further ado, Jeffrey Meshel, welcome to Oscar Mike Radio.
Thank you, sir. Glad to be here.
You don't have to call me sir. I was a Lance Corporal in the Marine Corps. I had to work for a living, but I appreciate the respect. I just scratched the surface about what you've accomplished in your life and what you're doing now. And the question is always asked, well, he didn't serve in the military. Why are you talking to him? And I feel that civilians like yourself have a breadth of experience and perspective about life, especially, as we veterans are trying to, redo our lives in the civilian world, that you all can share with us. So again, I just appreciate you coming on. Before we get into all the good stuff, and it looks like a lot of it's good, kind of tell us, who is Jeffrey Meshel?
Just another guy. Um, I'm a business guy. I can tell I got gray hair, so I've been around a while. A lot of different experiences, and my mantra, aside from obviously doing the things that I do, to be able to pay my expenses, I feel I have to make a difference in life. I'm involved in a lot of different things, different foundations, and I had a horrible experience which led to me writing this book. And I wrote this book to make a difference because trust is something that we all know the word, but we don't think about it enough. And it candidly is the pillar to everything we do in our lives. And we need to think about it more. And I wrote this book to create awareness.
So yeah, that's right. Because looking at what you've done, you've been in business a lot, and it's my understanding that trust is the pillar, the foundation of business. Who you are, how you're perceived, whether or not someone's going to just take a claim in what you're doing and try to move something forward together. It's all based on trust. So it must be catastrophic when trust is broken.
Well, it's depending on the degree of what transpires because trust is broken, it can be catastrophic. And it actually goes way beyond just being in business. I mean, as I said in the beginning, it's the pillar to everything in our lives. The second chapter of the book is that's called "Should I Buy When I'm Sold?" And it talks about all these products out there that are sold to us with fallacious representations. Some funny, some far from funny. There's no regulatory body that oversees this type of stuff. So trust covers a very large gamut. But I wrote the book because of a terrible experience with a crooked partner, and I had to shut my company down in 2019. And aside from it being very financially taxing, difficult, hurtful, I was extremely violated because I really trusted this person implicitly and stupidly was irresponsible, not aware of the things that he did.
So in the military veterans world, a couple things happen that, kind of brings us home. When I was in, we'd have the NCO or staff NCO come to the barracks with their sea bag, and you could tell that there were problems at home. And a lot of times it was because they found out that their spouse was not faithful, putting it candidly. The other thing, and we kind of talked about this before we got to talking tonight, is there was a situation at the Providence VA where a veteran serving in the VA told other veterans to give him money to grease the wheels, if you will, to get their claims moving forward. So for a lot of us military guys, also on the good side, is when I was in Hawk, I trusted the guy to my left and right to do their job, and they trusted me. And that formed a really, lifelong bond. But starting with the negative first, we'll get to the good stuff later. Why do people use trust as a weapon to get what they want?
Because it creates vulnerability, creates the ability to get something or make something happen because you believe or you feel a certain way about someone who could very well be deceiving you. I'll share, first of all, I commend you and your listeners for everything you do. And I must tell you, I beyond appreciate you guys in the front line. I'm the board of something called the CPR Foundation. It stands for Community Police Relations, and we're trying to repair, the hatred between law enforcement and the community, very much pushed by very extreme movements. And that and we do incredible things. I'm on the streets. I go and meet people, and we bring the police. We give away 3,000 turkeys for Thanksgiving, but we don't give them away. We give them to the police to go to people's homes to show that they're good people. These guys are on the firing line every day. These guys are being maligned, and they take their lives at risk every single day, and these extreme movements discredit who they are. So there's a commonality. There's actually a foundation, interesting enough, that was a gentleman came out of SEAL teams, and he created a not-for-profit for people that got PTSD in battle. And Walmart got behind him. He built all the facilities around the country for people coming back that were really messed up, having been in battle, to help them. And he approached us to get into law enforcement in Florida, Miami area north. We've had 6,000 police officers go through their programs to get them to, feel better because they go home to their wives, they're under being abused all the time, they have no breaks, they see something horrible, a child killed, and they're back out there right away. And so I commend you guys for everything you do, because I so appreciate it, as I do for law enforcement.
Well, thank you very much. I've figured out in life there's a lot I don't know. There's just a lot in life that I do not know and do not understand. And you go up to a church or a park where there's a wedding going on, and those vows are taking place, or you promise to serve your country, and then you violate those vows. How do you get trust back in humanity or yourself? Because one of the things that happens is you trust that person, they hurt you, and you feel like, hey, I didn't see what was coming. I must be, stupid or, foolish or just gullible, a sucker written all over my forehead. And it's hard to feel good about yourself again. How do you get that aspect of your life back?
Well, first, it's interesting you bring that up, because my son just got engaged and he's 26, and I very much like his fiance. She's adorable. She just became a dentist. Very nice girl. His name is Benjamin. I said, Benjamin, I want you to wait as long as possible. You got to, and he's crazy about it. So you got to wait as long as possible. You're 26. My argument is, and I have two chapters about marriage and divorce in the book. When you're in your 20s, you don't know who you are. Go back to when you were in your 20s and look at who you are today. All the experiences you've had, all the pluses, negatives, good, bad. I would guarantee you that you would tell me, you would say, Jeff, I'm a different man today. When I was in my 20s, I knew nothing. And unfortunately, I believe getting married too young is a flaw, because you just change, you grow, responsibilities, things happen, and you grow apart. And that's part of the problem. Knowing yourself is so implicit, so important. I have two chapters about marriage and divorce in the book. I have a rather comical is the wrong word, a derisive chapter. My first marriage, my ex-wife went through 20 different attorneys. It was the god awful experience. I go into details about the insanity what I went through. So the title of that chapter is "Until Death Do Us Part / Probably Not." And I share like all these, it's a little sense of humor. It's important to have a sense of humor. I share a lot of things like you just wouldn't even believe the stories of how the system works. But then I flipped it about the trust side, the positive chapter. And the second chapter about marriage is 30 plus. I interviewed 20 people married over 30 years, and I asked them, what's the secret sauce? How do you keep the trust? What is the most important thing? What would you tell someone in their 20s that are getting married? By the way, every one of them said people getting married in their 20s, don't. That was like, don't. But the number one thing that they all said, you got to marry your best friend. You got to marry your best friend. And, so that all comes with wisdom. And as you get older, you get smarter and, you learn. So walking down the aisle, we're peer pressure. I'm getting older. You're a woman. You want to have babies right away. There's all these factors that influence you, your environment, your friends. When I got married the first time I was 32, I went with a zillion different people. I was enough already. And I married my wife because I married her family. They treated me like a god. And I was walking down the aisle. I'm being interviewed for an article being written about me, and I had to address this. And I was walking down the aisle, and my gut told me, I don't have a good feeling. I don't, and I still did it. So the other thing is, don't defy your gut. That's the number one commandment. I have 10 commandments of trust. Your gut normally 98% of the time is spot on.
So let's talk about the positive aspects of trust, because I think about it. There's some people that, it's easy to get cynical, right? The older you get, and you've gotten kicked around a couple times, young or old, it's like, forget humanity. It's not even worth it, right? But then you come across these relationships and these things, whether it's in business or nonprofit work or in your personal life or even your career, where it's like, you know what? That person did exactly what they said they were going to do. Or, when they said, hey, I'm here to help you, they were. And the good feeling you get when someone calls on you and you deliver, what you said you were going to do and realize that there's something you can't really quantify. It's trust, but I can't really like put numbers around it. Jeffrey, can you go into how that feels and that works?
Consistency and reliability, and saying what you say and you do what you say you're going to do are barometers of really trusting. There are a lot of people out there, and unfortunately, it's more than less, that are not um, genuine. And everybody has agenda. Listen, money drives things. To the story you just shared about this person taking advantage of the VA guy, money. This person is just trying to get money, which in many cases goes over to doing bad things, illicit things. It's not uncommon. It's unfortunately common. But we got to get smarter, and we got to learn. And you got to really understand the things that you need to find in people and or just in things in general out there, because it goes way beyond that. That we've got to be more informed. We got to be much more aware. Um, I'll share one quick little story.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
played tennis. I played tennis with this really good looking guy. He's 26, tennis pro. He's trying to get my game a little better. But he after the third time I played with him, I said, Julian, next time I come, I'm going to bring you my most recent book. And so I came, I brought him the book. And maybe 5, 6 days later, he sends me a text, says, "You changed my life." But whoa, it was a pretty strong statement. And I didn't respond because I was playing with him the next day. I walk on the court and I walk up to him. I said, "Julian, what did you mean? I mean, that was impactful." He says, "I want to show you something." He takes his phone. He shows me this picture, this beautiful girl, beautiful girl. She was Russian, and this is Florida. So I'm in Florida. So Russian, Florida, that's kind of a dangerous mix. And all she wants to do is get married. And she's constantly on him, and he's vacillating. He can't decide. I want to do it. I don't want to do it. I do it. I want to. And the mother is pushing him, and he's like, he wants to go to chiropractor school, and he's not sure. And it's been going on for a long time, and he's getting the pressure. He said he read my book, and he broke up with her. And he realized that he didn't really like her. He didn't like her character. He didn't like the way she was as a person. Whatever their relationship was good, but there were things that she was about that he didn't think about. He couldn't hit it on the head. And when he focused on all the things I'm trying to convey, to be much more aware about trust, he broke up with her and he said to me, "Jeff, I want to thank you so much. This was really meaningful to me."
Now, when you talk about the things in your book that make you more aware, what are some of those things that you feel are any one more important than the other? Do they all work together? Can you go into that for a little bit?
Well, there's I think 16 chapters in the book, and I
Right.
cover a lot of things. It starts with integrity and people, and you have to. There's so many people that are disingenuous, that are it's about them. They sell a bill of goods. This guy, the VA guy, the story you just shared with me, he's taking advantage of someone because they have commonality. There's an implied trust because we come from the same of where we've been, and you're telling me you're going to help me. I trust you. Terrible, disingenuous, because this person all is about getting money. We got to become smarter. We have to become more aware. So in this book, I hit on so many things. Like my friend Julian, I play tennis with. He wasn't thinking. He was kicking the can. We have to be so much more sensitive and knowledgeable. I started to tell you the chapter 2 of the book is, should I buy what I'm sold? If you go into any drugstore and you look at the suntan lotions they have, every one of them in the front of the drugstores, they're all bad. They all have carcinogenic ingredients in it. There's a app, and all of you guys and all you ladies, there's an app on your phone called Yuka, Yuka. Download it. You can go into a supermarket or a drugstore and scan the barcodes, and they'll tell you if a product is good or bad. They scale it, they rate it from 1 to 100. And every one of the suntan lotions, they're horrible because they have ingredients that are really bad. There are ones that are good, but those aren't the ones that you see in the front of the store. Food products. And this is like, it's sort of, we're either putting stuff on our skin or eating something that can be really bad, and there's no checks and balances. We don't even know. this is a company that came, I think, from France. They're now getting stronger in the States. When I told my wife about this, I showed it to her. She goes to me, "Let's go to Whole Foods." I said, "Nicole, why?" "I want to go to Whole Foods." Okay, okay. We go to Whole Foods. I'm standing there 45 minutes. She's going down the aisles, just hitting the barcodes to see what stuff was. And so the breadth of trust is everything. It's everything in our lives. And we just don't think about it enough.
You think about it and you write the book. And the book is segmented in ways to raise your awareness, educate you, and with real world examples and your own example. What started happening to you as you wrote the book and you had to reflect on all these aspects of trust from other people's stories and your own life? What did you change it all?
Totally.
Yeah.
Great question, because I actually, someone, I was talking today with someone about this. Writing the book, I was going through such pain. I had a company that was 20 years old. I had this person that came in, 12 years ago. I trusted him. I broke with another partner. He ran day-to-day operations, and I trusted and believed the things he did. My role as a rainmaker, I go out and make stuff happen. And that violation was so over the top. And so I wrote this book. Initially, the stories, you can't even make up the stories. People that know him and know me say this is the next Netflix series, because it's unbelievable, the severity of it. In fact, this guy's wife went off a terrace in Boca Raton last year, mother of three. Normally don't jump off terraces. I mean, the story's over the top. I wrote the book because I started assembling all these crazy, insane things I was learning. And then it was partially cathartic because I was in such pain. If you saw me in 2019, my company was called Paradigm Capital. My hands were shaking. I had to take medication because my blood pressure went way up. And I'm writing these stories. I'm like, I can't even believe the severity, the extremity of these insane things. They had fake email addresses, fake names, all sorts of. And I'm writing it, and then the light bulb goes off in my head. I'm standing at my window in my apartment. This happened to be in New York City, and I'm looking out the window. I said, you know what? Trust in our country is an all-time low. I've been around a while. I've never seen the lack of trust about everything. These extreme movements, defund the police, hatred, all these things out there. And and people, if you're different, and then I said, oh my God. And I started doing this massive research. It became a cathartic thing. But the irony was, I wrote the book to make a difference and to nourish my readers, and I shared very personal stories, many of which were embarrassing. The irony is, I learned so much doing it. I learned so much that changed me, I think, to be a smarter man. And I just shared a quick story about, I'm a real estate guy, so I buy buildings. That's what I do. And I was buying a property in up top of the state of Florida, and we were committed. We had a lot of money down on environmentals and appraisals, and we did all this stuff, and a couple of things I wasn't crazy about it, but we were going forward. I had all the money raised. I was in it for a lot of money, that hard money. And the last thing I had to do was go look at the property. And this is after I've written the book and after all the things, and I'm doing all this stuff with the book. And I go with my one of my junior partners and walk in the property. And there were these things that really bothered me. There's one thing, two things, three things, but we're ready to close. And I'm not going into detail what they were. I walked the property 4 times. There are a couple. I mean, it was probably be perfectly fine, but my instinct, my gut feeling said, I'm just not comfortable. I just think, it'd probably be fine. Probably nothing will go wrong. I'm killing the deal. And I took a big hit on all the money I put up to get to that point. And my junior partner, he's 31 years old, says to me, why? We're ready to go. And I said to him, I just don't have a good feeling. Before I wrote the book, before all this happened to me, I would have closed the deal. So because I'm making the money, I now have the ownership, I've got it all done, it's short-term gratification. Something bad goes happen down the road, I'll deal with it. But I said, I just don't feel it. And now I will not defy that. So to your question, and the answer is, writing the book, me imparting what I share in the book to make a difference for all my readers, changed me as well.
So one thing that strikes me, because I've lived this in a certain way, different format, is you become aware when trust is broken. what's the balance? What's the balance between trust, skepticism, and paranoia? Can you be almost too aware? Because I get that a lot personally, Jeff, where you know what, you're too on all the time. You know, you never relax, and you're always like looking for the ulterior motive. And I don't apologize for that. I don't.
Well, there's another word which, is the other extreme, called paranoia. And so there's a balance of things, and there's no perfect answer. I'm not going to give anyone 100% solution. All I can do is try to educate for all of us to be smarter, have better instincts. Better instincts come from experience. I have an expression. It's actually a paragraph in this thing I'm writing now. Good judgment comes from experience. Experience comes from bad judgment. So if we can learn from the things that we made mistakes from in the past and prevent them from happening again, I will tell you right now, I am totally still a very trusting person. I want to be a trusting person. I will not allow myself to become distrusting. I love being trusting. I'm going to assume someone's good until I have an instinct that they're not. I mean, now my instincts and my sensitivity are more acute, but I like trusting people. I like helping people. I like going out of my way. But we don't want to become paranoid. The key thing is for us to get smarter. The key thing for us is to listen, learn, and not make the same mistakes again, and be sensitive, not insensitive. Don't kick the can. Look at things for what they are. But when you have real people in your life that are really there, you'll know it, because they're the consistency. And when people step up, they're always there. And there are people like that in our lives. Maybe not a huge amount. I have a bunch, but I have a lot of people that are like totally shallow. I just was writing a story about a guy that I know 20 years, very successful guy, good looking guy. Every time I go sit with him, it's all about him. All he does is talk about himself. And he's a good looking guy, and he's done all this cosmetic stuff, and he's got this beautiful young girl he's hanging with. And every girl he's with, all he does is complain every single time. And every time I go see him, which I stopped doing, by the way, a couple of years ago, it was all him talking about himself. If I brought up anything about me, anything, it was like dead eyes. There was like not any modicum of interest. And I'm sitting there, and like, the last time it happened, I said, you know what? I'm done. I'm not wasting my time. I like the person. He's a nice person, but he's a me guy. And I describe him in the book as a guy that lives in a room where all the walls are mirrors, because all he does is look at himself. You got to be with people that really are sincere, that go out of their way, that have care. And yet when you have those people in life, you'll know it.
That's a really interesting perspective, because, you know, trust has to be earned and trust has to be reciprocated for a relationship to work. But it's this aspect of listening to your inner self and looking at what people see. I look at it as, I'm going to watch what you do before I really listen to what you say, and your actions will show me a whole lot more than your words. I don't know if that's right or not, Jeff. I don't know what you think about that, but that's what kind of worked for me after what I went through. And, you know, it seems to work.
Look, everything you've done and gone through, they're called learning experiences. And those learning experiences, to whatever degree they were painful or hurtful or, caused bad things, you got smarter because of them. And so your instincts today are more acute.
Yeah.
And, going forward, you should have, and I'm assuming you do, a better sensitivity from who you can trust and who you can talk to, and that who really cares. Again, going back to the me guy or me girl, we don't want to be with people that's all about themselves, because that's ridiculous. There's only 24 hours in the day. Who do we want to spend our time with? We want to spend our time. I have the best woman in my life. I got remarried a year ago. My wife was a school teacher, the most loving, caring person. All she wants to do is take care of me. She's so proud of me, all these things I do. And all she wants to do is be there for me and hold me and hug. And we're a great team. She's my best friend. And I've learned by mistake. And that's the other thing that's really important for everyone to hear and listen. Listen, everybody makes mistakes. That's why they put erasers on pencils. At the end of the day, do we learn from these mistakes? And that's most important.
It goes without saying, maybe it's just because I'm younger, Jeffrey, but I wish there was a way to get the experience and judgment without the bad experiences. That's the irony of life. And but to your point, you're absolutely right. If it wasn't for the hard times and the mistakes and the absolute, catastrophic failures in my life, I wouldn't have been able to, become what I am today. So it's just a truth I've had to accept. And when I accepted it, life got a lot better. The book has changed you. Your experience has changed you. You found love again with a great woman. You do a whole lot out in your community. It's evident to see. But I do have to ask, you've done all this. What's next for you as you go into, this year and in this next part of your life?
Well, um, fortunately, I'm very busy in the things I do from a business perspective. So that takes a lot of my time. My son Benjamin's 26. He's a partner in my new company, which is 3 years old. And I've got another fellow who's 31. So I got these two young engines, and we've done a lot in a very short period of time. So I'm very lucky and gratified that we're accomplishing a lot. I work out 6 days a week, so I sit back and say to myself, with all the success of whatever you make, health is everything. So I'm really trying to whatever degree I can to take care of myself. If I have any one vice, I drink my wine at night, but that's the only thing I do that maybe I shouldn't do, but I enjoy that. And I have to make a difference. I'm involved in different foundations. I'm involved in things out there where people need help, and I show up. And that's very meaningful to me. I think I still think I'm 22 years old. And I'm obviously not. The years go by, and I sit back and go, wow, I'm in the back nine. I can't believe I'm in the back nine. I still think I'm still up there. I'm a kid. I'm a kid in heart. I'm a kid in spirit, and I'm a kid in like my energy. I don't stop. So my whole thing going forward is to make a difference. I want to make a difference. I wrote the book. I've written 3 books, and the other 2 are on different subject matter. But I want to, and when I get to talk to a nice gentleman like you and whoever is listening to me speak, if I make any impact, like I did with the guy that I played tennis with, where he came back to me, and I had some people to me that reached out and said, this is the most important book they've ever read. That is humongous compensation. So my whole reason for being is to make a difference.
Fantastic, fantastic. You made a difference. I haven't gotten through your book yet, but I do have it on my order list and in my Kindle reading list. So bear with me here. But I just like the whole aspect of Trust Jeffrey. Like I told you, I got asked several times this week, why did these veterans who were in this area trust this other veteran to help them along? And I'm like, well, look, they needed help. They're financially strapped right now. They're trying to get through life. One of them's facing homelessness. So you're holding on to hope, and this person's offering you hope. And I think what you said is right. Let's become more aware of our surroundings. Let's look out for what is real and what is not. And I think if people do that, you'll change a lot of lives. Absolutely.
If I do that, then I've achieved my goal.
Well, I just can't wait for your next book to I'm sure you got another book in progress, right? I'm just guessing here, but
It's funny, yes, but it's my other 2 books are about networking. They call me the master networker. I kind of like know everybody. My first book's title was One Phone Call Away: Secrets of the Master Networker. I was on Today's Show speaking in front of hundreds of people at a time, and my second book's called The Opportunity Magnet: What do you need to do to make yourself stand out? I wrote this book for the reasons I shared, the crooked partner, and I just went totally a different way to make a difference. And my newest book that I'm starting to map out of my mind, title will be Know Who You Know.
okay. So kind of gain off some just a hair, if I can, sir. I have this thing where I tell people, look, it really is who you know in life. Money's great. Money makes a lot of things easier, absolutely. But if you don't know the right people at the right time, you're really in a ship in a sea that's chaotic. It's who you know.
That's my passion.
Yeah.
I if you Google my name, you see all the things I do.
Well, I
Uh,
did, and I went on LinkedIn, and I'm like, I thought I got some stuff done. Jeff, I mean, you get more done before 9 o'clock than I do all day.
Well, I'm in the gym for 2 hours by 9 o'clock. But look, so you think about the veterans, and you think about what they experienced and what they did and what they sacrificed to protect all of us, and it's tremendous. What a cool thing to consider is putting together a breakfast, for veterans, five, and have a breakfast once a month and talk about what are you doing, what are you involved in, and how can I help you, and really commit to each other to open up doors to you know me now, If you have an issue with somebody and someone has a real problem, I'm inviting you to call me because I'll be glad to help. So who and people that'll step up makes a difference. And every time you meet somebody, depending on who they are and what they do, they have a different experience, or they come from a world that a lot of these guys don't know. But there's a lot in this country. There's a lot to do. We're at a very dysfunctional time. In my view, Biden will go down as the worst president we've ever had. I mean, it's incredible how crazy and insanity across everything that's going on. I'm just praying this ends, because this is an amazing country. We've got great people, and now we've got terrorism and all this other stuff, and it's really, really upsetting. But all your guys, get together, 2-3 people, start a breakfast. Let's have a breakfast once a month. Start with 3 people. How do we help each other? What are you doing? You want to start a little. I know somebody that could help you with that little business, and build a team of people. Team is not a word, by the way, in my vocabulary. It's an acronym. Together, everyone achieves more. Together, everyone achieves more. So we could all sit there alone and woe is me, or we could step up and start collecting people and know who start opening up doors, and good stuff happens.
Well, I think, honestly, Jeffrey, we need to have you back on to talk about that aspect, because veterans need to hear that. A lot of times we get closed off in our own little lane, our own little silo, and I don't want to let you in and play in my sandbox and vice versa. And I think that's holding us back as a community and as Americans. So I definitely, what you're saying is resonating with me. So look, I'm going to have all your book links in the Oscar Mike Radio show post. I'm with Jeffrey Meshel talking about his newest book about trust. And I really appreciate you taking the time to come on and share with us, Jeff, about, trust is different aspects and how to take something that's happened to you and really make something better out of it. Thank you.
Truly my pleasure.
Well, I am Travis with Oscar Mike Radio. I've got my guest on here, Jeffrey Meshel, who is just an amazing individual. Check out his book. I know I will. And we are mission in flight. Thank you.
Remember, on it teaches our mission. We care about it. We do it every day. But I think there are things that just hit you and give you a reason to go on. The theme for our 2024 for Reach Across America is Live with Purpose. It just seemed to fit in with the vows of the REAP, the 10 attributes that we feel represent our United States military. I thought, what a great opportunity to put those two things together and show our kids through how we act some of the things that can make their lives better, their communities better, and by doing that, the country better. For me, Live with Purpose, I think, it's a mindset. Set some guidelines and then go out and purposefully make life different, make a change. It's an opportunity to set an example.
Thank you for listening and watching Oscar Mike Radio, where our active duty service members and veterans are in action and the mission is in flight. Oscar Mike Radio is an oversized load Co-Sinister One production. If you are a veteran or know a veteran who needs help, please dial 988 and press 1 for the Veterans Crisis Line.